Shuklambaradharam Vitnam Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanjananandanam Veeram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapishamakshahantaram Vande Lanka Bhayankaram Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namaskaram all of you. Welcome to the 30th session of Narayaniyam, explaining the Dasakam 20, the story of Rishabhadeva or Rishabha Yogiswara. We saw in Dasakams 17 and 18 the glorious Thiruvaiyaru, followed by that of Emperor Prithu, a partial incarnation of Brahman, and as the foremost emperor who ever ruled the creation. Those descriptions were followed by the stories of Prithu's great grandson Prachina Barhyas and his 10 sons, commonly called Prachetas, all in Dasakam 19 of Narayaniyam. We will now see the story of Swayambhu Manu's elder son Priyavrata. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5, chapters 3 to 6 explain in detail most of Priyavrata's story. Here is the summary of the hagiography of Rishabha Yogeshwara. Born to the great ruler Nabhi, who was the son of Agnidra and grandson of Priyavrata, we will be seeing the incarnation of Bhagavan as Rishabha Yogeshwara and how after his duties were successfully completed, Rishabha becomes an avaduta or free soul and a wandering recluse for teaching serious lessons to the mortals. Bhagavatam says that the intention of the Supreme Brahman in this partial incarnation was to give a lesson in the art of liberation from Rajas, that is, those who are immersed in worldly activities, how to get out of that loop and feel liberated. That's the purpose of explaining this incarnation. Priyavratasya Priyaputra Bhutat Agnigrarajat Udito Hinabihi Agnigrarajat Udito Hinabihi Tvam Dhrittavan Ittagam Ishtamadye Tavaiva Tutyai Krutayagya Karma Tvam Dhrittavan Ittagam Ishtamadye Tavaiva Tutyai Tavaiva Tutyai Krutayagya Karma. Priyavratasya Priyaputra Bhutat Agnidra Rajat Buditohi Nabihi Tvam Drishtavan Ishtadam Ishtamadye Tavaiva Tushtyai Krita Yajna Karma. Oh Bhagavane, King Priyavrata, the elder son of Swayambhu Manu, was a great devotee of yours. His queen was Barhishmati. Priyavrata had 10 sons by Barhishmati, namely Agnidra, Idmajihva, Yajnabahu, Mahavira, Hiranyaretas, Dirghaprashta, Savana, Medhaditi, Vitihotra, and Kavi. Among them, Mahavira, Kavi, and Savana attained liberation, gaining self-knowledge in childhood itself. Among the rest of the sons, Agnidra was the first by age and also by virtues. King Priyavrata crowned all these 7 sons as kings of the islands of Jambu, Plaksha, Salmali, Kusha, Krauncha, Saka, and Pushkara. Agnidra was the king of Jambu, and he, desiring virtuous progeny, did a major penance for a long time in the Mandara mountain. There he married a celestial damsel by name Purvachitta, who was sent by Brahma. He got from Purvachitta 9 sons: Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadraseva, and Ketumala. Each of them became king of one of the 9 different regions of Jambu Dvipa, that is the island of Jambu. We will be seeing in the next Dashakam very soon about in the 7 continents or islands mentioned above, and how Bhagavan is worshipped in every one of those except in Jambu, about which we will see here. We will also see how, except for Nabi's region, the rest of those, that is 8 sons, not only named those regions, but also how Bhagavan is worshipped in those regions very soon. Nabi was the king of Himavarsha and his queen was Meru Devi. He thought that one could get virtuous children only by God's blessings, and accordingly conducted a great yajna or sacrifice. O Bhagavan, you who are always ready to bestow all blessings on your devotees, manifested before King Nabi in the midst of the sacrifice, while the rites known as Pavragya, which serve as a prelude to the performance of a Soma sacrifice, was proceeding. You appeared in your splendid form with 4 arms bearing your insignia, namely Kanchi, discus, mace, and lotus, and Kaustubhajam, earrings, bracelets, armlets, crown, etc., to please him. All of them were adorning your body because you wanted to give darshanam in the form the person who did the penance prayed for. Abhitutastatra munishware tvam rajnyaha swatulyo sutamartyamanaha swatulyam sutamartyamana swayam swatulyam sutamartyamana swayam Janishyeghamiti bruvanaha tirodata Barkishi Vishwamurte Vishwamurte Abhishtustas-tatra munishware-stvam rajnyaha swatulyam sutamartyamanaha swayam janishyeghamiti bruvanaha tirodatha barkishi vishwamurte. The universal soul appeared from the ritual fire in the middle of the sacrifice when the priest extolled and prayed for a son equal to him to be born of their king Nabi. Let us see what Srimad Bhagavatam says in some detail about this event, which Narayana Bhattacharya really mentioned in a fleeting detail. The prayer of the priest included the 3 most important benedictions found in 5th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It looks as though such prayers are granted routinely, as many of us utter involuntarily the name of Bhagavan at the time of sneezing, yawning, etc., etc. The habit of saying Krishna, Krishna or Ranga, Ranga when an infant child sneezes in most of our families as an involuntary utterance is worth remembering in this context. Atayameva varohi argattamayarhi barhishi rajarshehi Atayameva varohi argattamayarhi barhishi rajarshehi Varadarshavo Bhavan Nija Purushekshana Pishayasite Varadarshabho Bhavan Nija Purushekshana விஷயாசி அதாயமேவ வரோஹி அர்ஹத்தமா யர்ஹி பர்ஹிஷி ராஜர்ஷேஹே வரதர்ஷபோ பவான் நிஜ புருஷேக்ஷண விஷய ஆசீத். ஓ பகவானே, you are the best of all benefactors, and your appearance at the saintly King Nabi's sacrificial arena is meant for your benediction. Because you have been seen by us, you have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction. Samoham samoha sarvabhuteshu name deshyosina priyagam samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosina priyagam ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. Na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. This is Gita Vakyam, 9th chapter, 29th sloka. Simplistically put, it says, for those who are devoted to me, Krishna says, oh Arjuna, for those who are devoted to me, I am his or her friend. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of dharma, I myself always appear, yuga and yuga and yuga after yuga. Asanga nishita jnananala viduta sheshamalanam. Asanga nishita jnananala viduta sheshamalanam. Bhavatvabhavanam atmamam. Bhavatvabhavanam. Bhavatvabhanam atma aramanam. Muninam anavarata parigunita gunagana paramamangala ahayana gunagana katanosi. Muninam anavarata parigunita gunagana paramamangala ahayana gunagana katanosi. Asanga nishita jnananala vidusha sheshamalanam bhavat swabhavanam atma aramanam muninam anavarata parigunita gunagana paramamangala ayana gunagana katanosi. Dear Lord, all the great sages who are thoughtful and saintly persons incessantly recount your spiritual qualities. These sages have already burned up all the unlimited useless kriya or karma or actions, and by the fire of knowledge, they have strengthened their detachment from the material world completely. Thus, they have attained your qualities and are self-satisfied. And even for those who feel spiritual bliss in chanting your attributes, your personal appearance is exceedingly rare. Muninam anavarata parigunita gunagana paramamangala ayana gunagana katanosi. Atakatanchit atakatanchit kalana chutpatana jumbana duravasthanadishu vivashanam na smaranaya vivashanam na smaranaya dvaramarana dashayam abhisakala kashvala nirasanani tava gunakrita namadeyani vachana gocharani bhavantu tava gunakrita namadeyani vachana gocharani bhavantu. Ata katanchit skalana chutpatana jrumbana duravasthanadishu vivashanam nasmaranaya jwara marana dashayam api sakala kashmala nirasanani tava gunakrita namadeyani vachana gocharani bhavantu. This is also Bhagavata Mahavakyam. Dear Lord, Bhagavane, we may not be able to remember your name, form and qualities due to stumbling, hunger, falling down, yawning, or being in a miserable, diseased condition at the time of death. When there is a high fever, nothing else will come. The phlegm will really choke my throat. Even if I wanted to say something, nothing will come out of my tongue or my throat. We therefore pray unto you, Bhagavane, O Lord, for you are very affectionate to your devotees right now itself. Please help us remember you and utter your holy names, attributes and activities which can dispel all the reactions of our sinful lives. This has been reiterated by so many saints that came after Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly, that at the time of death, we will never remember anything noble. If we start doing it right from today, it will become a habit. So at that time, when we are totally constrained, when we open our mouth, automatically Bhagavan Nama will come out. That is the substance of this. The real success in life is Ante Narayana Smritihi. Remembering the holy name, attributes, activities and form of the Lord at the time of death. Although we may be engaged in Bhagavan's devotional service or bhakti in the temple, material conditions are so tough and inevitable that we may forget Bhagavan at the time of death due to a diseased condition or mental derangement. In a couple of dasakams down the line, namely in dasakam 22, we are going to see Ajamulopakyanam to witness the truth of this statement in absolute detail. Kinchayam Rajarshihi Kinchayam Rajarshihi Apatyakama Prajam Bhavadruchim Mahasasana Ishwaram Asishayam Kinchayam Rajarshihi Kinchayam Rajarshihi Apatyakamaha Prajam Bhavadruchim Mahasasana Ishwaram Ashisham Swarga Apavagayopi Bhavantam Upadavati Prajayam Artha Pratyayo Dhanadam Ivadana Palikaranam Dhanadam Ivadana Palikaranam. Kinchayam Rajarshihi Apatyakama Prajam Bhavadrishim Masasana Ishwaram Ashisham Swarga Apavargayorabi Bhavantam Upadhavati Prajayam Artha Pratyayo Dhanadam Ivadhana Fali Karanam. Again Bhagavata Vakyam. Bhagavane here is the greatest King Nabi, whose ultimate goal in life is to have a son like you. O Lord, Nabi's position is like that of a person approaching an extraordinarily rich man and begging for a handful of little grain. Maharaja Nabi is so desirous of having a son that he is worshipping you for a son, although you can offer him any exalted position if he wanted, including elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation, transition to your permanent abode to be with you and never come down thereafter. But still, he only chose one thing: give me a son like you. The priests were a bit ashamed that King Nabi was performing such a great sacrifice just to ask the Lord's benediction for a son. The Lord could offer him promotion to the heavenly planets or the Vaikuntha Patham. Sakshakshama Andal asked, எற்றைக்கும் ஏழேழு விரவிக்கும் உந்தனோடு உற்றோமையாவோம் உமக்கே நாம் ஆட்செய்வோம் மற்றைனம் காமங்கள் மாற்று. It is only proper that you permit us to render our humble service to you eternally. It is not only for today that we seek your grace, but in all our births to come, however many we may end up with, we shall ever be committed to you and just you and you only in absolute servitude. Everything else is of no concern to us. உற்றோமே யாவும் உமக்கே நாம் ஆட்செய்வோம் மற்றைனம் காமங்கள் மாற்று. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us how to approach the Supreme Brahman and ask him for the ultimate benediction. He said, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagat isha kamaye. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitava jagat isha kamaye. He did not want to ask the Supreme Brahman for anything material. Material opulence means riches, a nice family, a good wife, and many followers. But an intelligent devotee does not, will not, shall not ask the Supreme Bhagavan for anything material. His only prayer is, Mama Janmani Janmani Ishware Bhavadat Bhaktir Ahaituki Twayi. What does it mean? எற்றைக்கும் ஏழேழு பெருவைக்கும் உந்தனோடு உற்றோமே யாமாவோம் மம ஜன்மனி ஜன்மனி ஈஸ்வரே பவதாத் பக்திர் அகைதுகி துவயி. He wants to be engaged perpetually in the loving service of the Lord. He does not want promotion to the heavenly planets or mukti, liberation from material bondage, none of that. If this were the case, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not have said, Mama Janmani Janmani Janmani. It does not matter to your devotee whether or not he takes birth, life after life, life after life, death after birth, as long as he remains a devotee. Actually, you all heard a Tamil song, Pirava Varam Tharum. Marubadi Pirandal Unnai Marava Varam Tharum. Actually, eternal liberty means returning home back to Bhagavan. A devotee is never concerned about anything material. We saw in Pracheta's case, they were praying for 10,000 years, whereas Dhruva prayed for 5 months and Sri Narayana appeared before him. Pracheta did not want to stop praying and doing the tapas for Bhagavan because the margam itself was the ultimate goal. The journey was the goal for them. So 10,000 years of penance was only making them enriched and happy, and they found the Sannidhyam in the process itself. Although Nabi Maharaja wanted a son like Vishnu, wanting a son like Bhagavan is also a form of sense gratification. A pure bhakta wants only to engage in Bhagavan's loving service. So, if we were to make an analysis of this, after all, Nabi Maharaja also wanted something which gratified him. As opposed to Andal or many other acharyas who only wanted servitude, and to be born any number of births, it doesn't matter to them as long as they can think of him and constantly be in his smarana and in his service. Though that's a distinction.
Aho bhataham rushayo bhavatbihi avitata darbihi varam asulamo. Aho bhataham rushayo bhavatbihi avitata girbihi varam asulamo. Avitata girbihi varam asulamo. Abhiyachito yad amushyatmajo maya sadriso bhuyatiti mamagam evavirupaha kaivalyat atapi brahmavado namrusha bhavitumargati mamaiva himukam yad dvijadeva kulam.
Aho bataham rishayo bhavadbihi avitadagidbihi varam masulabam abhiyachito yadu amushyatmajo maya sadruso bhuyaditi mamaham eva avirupa kaivalyat atabi brahmavado namrusha bhavidumarhati mamayvahi mukam yadvija deva kulam. This is also Bhagavatam. O great sages, I am certainly pleased by your benedictions. Aho bataham rishayo bhavadbihi avitadagidbihi. Since I am without a second and no one equal to me can be created. This is what Bhagavan is saying. Another one like me is not easy to make or possible to find. However, or nevertheless, because you are all veritable Brahmanas, your prayers or wish shall not prove untrue. Since I consider the Brahmanas who are qualified with Brahmanical qualities in absolute to be as good as my own mouth. Why did he say that and how did he say that? Mamaham evavi rupa kaivalyat atapi brahmavado namrusha bhavitum arhati mamayvahi mukham yat dvija deva kulam. In the next few slokams, we see that Bhagavan agreed to descend on the earth through Nabi, the son of Agnidra, as partial incarnation. Saying this within the hearing of Nabi's consort Meru Devi, O Gurvairappa disappeared in the sacrificial fire.
Nabi priyayam matameru devyam Nabi priyayam matameru devyam Tvam amshadaha aburu Rushabhavidanaha Aloka samanya guna prabhava Aloka samanya guna prabhava Prabhavita Prabhavita asesha jana pramodaha Prabhavita asesha jana pramodaha.
Nabipriyayam atameru devyam tvam amshataha abuhu rushabhavidanaha aloka samanya gunaprabhava prabhavita asesha jana pramodaha. Afterwards, O Guruvairappa, you descended as the son of Nabi through his wife Meru Devi as a partial incarnation with the name Rishabha, delighting all the words with the sublimity of your innumerable virtues, such as vigor, energy, majestic luster, strength, courage, prowess, and heroism. Impossible to match by anyone and at any time.
Tvayi triloki bruti rajyaparam Tvayi triloki bruti rajyaparam Tvayi triloki bruti rajyaparam Nidayanabihi sagameru devya Nidayanabihi sagameru devya Tabovanam prapya bhavannishevi Gataha kilanandapadam padam te Gataha kilanandapadam padam te.
Tvayitriloki Bruti Rajyabaram Nidayanabihi Sagameru Devya Tapovanam Prapya Bhavannishevi Gatakkilananda Padam Padam Te. Oh Bhagavane, you having assumed the form with perfect virtues are always engaged in the protection of the three worlds. Even at the time of dissolution, you do protect the three worlds, keeping them in your abdomen. When you, the ruler of all three worlds, were born as his son, King Nabi was absolutely content and overwhelmed. He handed the responsibility of the kingdom to you and went to Badrikashrama along with his wife Meru Devi. There he worshipped Sriman Narayana, who is not different from you, and attained your abode Vaikuntaloka, the place of supreme bliss. Look, King Nabi also had a material desire to have a son like Bhagavan, but once the son was born, he abandons everything material in this world, and then finally he is transited to the permanent abode of Vaikuntha. See what a blessing. That the art of statecraft was easy for Rishabhadeva is indicated by Bhattadri by the use of the word Triloki Bhriti. What is new? The profoundly Rajasic and Tamasic, as usual, feel jealous at the remarkable and exquisite administration of Rishabha Mahachakravarti. We will see about this in the next slokam.
Indraha tvaduৎkarsha kritadvarsha Indraha tvaduৎkarsha kritadvarsha na asmin janabavarshe yada tada tvam nija yoga shaktya swaparshamenat vyadadhaga suvarsha Swavarshamenat vyadada suvarshu
Indraha tvaduৎkarsha kritat vavarshana asmin ajanabha varshe yada tadatvam nijayoga shaktya swavarshamenat vyadadaha suvarsham. Indra withheld rain in your land, Ajanabha, due to sheer envy at the prosperity of the world generated by your greatness in your form and incarnation as Rishabha Yogiswara. But by sheer dint of your yogic power, you brought down abundant rainfall throughout the entire creation of the land and made it more prosperous, and thusly admonished and put to shame the Indra that you created.
Chidendra dattam kamanim jayantim Chidendra dattam kamanim jayantim Atodvagan atmarata shayobi Ajijana tatrasatam tanujan Ajijana tatrasatam tanujan Yesham chitisha Bharatograjanma Bharatograjanma
Jitendra Dattam Kamanim Jayantim Atodvahan Atmarata Shayobi Aji Janas Tatra Satam Tanujan Yesham Chitiso Bharatogra Janma. O Lord, when Indra was thus defeated and he felt very ashamed and surrendered unto you, and in order to propitiate you, he came running, volunteering his beautiful daughter Jayanti to be married to you. Though you were ever absorbed in the Atman, and you could have easily said no, but you married her and got her 100 sons as she had prayed for. But all the 100 sons were literally your own replicas, just for the betterment of humanity and creation. Of them, the eldest one possessed of the highest attributes. We should note it here. The eldest one of the 100 sons born to Rishabha and Jayanti became Bharata and also the king of Bharata Varsha. It is after this Bharata that this universe or land became known as Bharata Varsha.
Navabhavan Yogiswara Navabhavan Yogiswara Navanye Gopalayan Bharata Varsha Gandan Gopalayan Bharata Varsha Gandan Saikatvashitihi Tavasesha Putraha Tapo Balat Bhusurabhuyaniyuhu Saikatvashitihi Tavasesha Putra Tapo Balat Bhusurabhuyaniyuhu
Navabhavan Yogiswara Navanye Papalayan Bharata Varshakandan Saikatva Siddhihi Tava Sesha Putraha Tapo Balat Bhusura Bhuyamiyuhu. Bharata's 9 younger brothers, namely Kavi, Hari, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pippalayana, Avirhotra, Drumala, Chamasa, and Karabhajana, became ascetics from a very early age itself and came to be known as the famous Rishabha Yogiswaras. Now you remember, Rishabha was the son who had 100 sons, and out of the 100 sons, Bharata was the eldest, and 9 of his younger brothers became Rishabha Yogiswaras, who taught to the world the conduct prescribed for the votaries of the Lord. Another 9 brothers of Bharata ruled over various parts of Bharata's kingdom under his suzerainty. These are Kushavarta, Ilavarta, Brahmavarta, Malaya, Ketu, Bhadrasena, Indrasprit, Vidarbha, and Kikata. So we have Bharata. The next 9 became ascetics. Another 9 became rulers over various parts of Bharata's kingdom. And the remaining 81 who were still younger were obedient to their father and the older brother, very modest, very well versed in Vedas, and habitually engaged in performing yajnas. Purified by their very pious conduct, they all attained the status of Brahmanas. All the 81 Kumaras of Rishabha attained the status of Brahmanas. This proves the laid down rules that by the study of Vedas, by scrupulous observance of the conduct prescribed in them, and by sheer tapas or penance, Kshatriyas can become Brahmanas. Puranams describe how Vishwamitra and Veerahavya became Brahmanas. Saika Ashitihi, mentioned in the sloka, means 81. Saika Ashitihi. The word Ashitihi, meaning 80, is used in singular and feminine gender, whatever noun it qualifies. Sa eka ashitihi. The names of these 9 yogis are mentioned here as given in Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2. You will come to review Dashakam 91 of Narayaniyam in due course, which would summarize the dialogue between Videha and the first 4 of these 9 yogis whom I just now mentioned, under the title Greatness of Devotion. What is Bhakti and how to do Bhakti, defined in Dashakam 91 of Narayaniyam, is based on the dialogue between Videha and 4 out of the 9 yogis whom I just now mentioned, like Kavi, Hari, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pippalayana, Avirhotra, Drumala, Chamasa, and Karabhajana, those Rishabha Yogishwaras. In Dashakam 92 under Karma Mishra Bhakti, in other words, devotion mixed with work, the sermon of Avirhotra, Chamasa, and Karabhajana are detailed. All these are from Narayana Bhattadri. In Dashakam 93, Bhattadri covers Pippalayana's sermon, whereas, as you may recall, Drumila's is appropriately covered in Dashakam 16. If you may remember, as the main topic is the story of Lord's various incarnations, with emphasis on the Lord's victory over Kama in his incarnation as Nara and Narayana. That is Dashakam 16. All these are interlinked. That's why I am bringing references to 91, 92, 93, and 16, etc., because they are all encompassed when we talk of Rishabhadeva and his 100 children.
Uktva sutebhyo tamunindra madhye Uktva sutebhyo tamunindra madhye Virakti bhakyanvita mukti margam Uktva sutebhyo tamunindra madhye Virakti bhakyanvita mukti margam Swayam gataha paramaham cha vrityam Swayam gataha paramaham cha vrityam Aga jadonmatta pisachajaryayam अदाजडोन्मत्त पिशाचचर्याम्
उक्त्वा सुतेभ्योत मुनीन्द्र मध्ये विरक्ति भक्त्यान्वित मुक्ति मार्गम स्वयं गतः पारहंस वृत्त्यम अदा जडोन्मत्त पिशाचचर्याम्. Afterwards, you instructed your sons along with great ascetics in the path of salvation through renunciation and devotion. Then, adopting the way of life of Paramahamsas, you, Bhagavane, went about appearing variously as an idiot, a lunatic, or a ghost. Rishabhadeva was free from all evils by his very nature and was enjoying absolute bliss. Yet he performed actions conventional to ordinary mortals. Once he addressed his own sons on devotion, knowledge, and renunciation, leading to liberation in an assemblage of Brahmana sages and citizens in Brahmavarta. Why did Bhagavan advise his sons in the presence of sages and other citizens? He knew that the sages approved of his pursuit of moral codes, and so if advised in their presence, his counsel could generate enough trust in his own sons and in other citizens. Look at the way even those yesteryear incarnations gave their sermons and how they picked their assembly. He was in reality advising the citizens under the guise of advising his sons who were already self-controlled and thoroughly disciplined. Ironically, the father advises the sons but requires the presence of great Brahmana sages and other important citizens of Brahmavarta who are all experts on devotion, knowledge, and renunciation, specifically to insist on the sons how important are his guidance. That happens even today. When a father tells the children this is how life is, children don't usually take it as it is. If the same thing is given in an assemblage of senior great people applauding the father, the children think, okay, then this may be valuable because our father is now applauded by men of eminence. And that happened even in those Puranic days and in those yugas. That's why this is being stressed here. This is made clear in Bhagavatam by the words Prajanam Nishamayantinam. In other words, within the hearing of his subjects. That's what Bhagavatam in Canto 5 says. After addressing his sons, Rishabhadeva installed his eldest son Bharata on the throne and he himself adopted the way of life of a recluse. Renouncing everything, he became a wandering ascetic and departed from Brahmavarta appearing as if he was mad. His hair was disheveled and walked around stark naked, and he was immune to heat, cold, joy, sorrow, horror, humiliation, hunger, thirst, and the like, and abandoned the sentiments of I, aham, and mine. In this condition, that of an avaduta, an ascetic who has renounced all worldly attachments and connections, that's the meaning of an avaduta, he gave the appearance of one who is an idiot, a madman, or even a ghost, while wandering about as a liberated soul when all others may have branded him differently by different names.
Paratma bhutopi parobadesham kurvan bhavan sarva nirasyamanaha kurvan bhavan sarva nirasyamanaha Paratma bhutopi paropadesham kurval bhavan sarva nirasyamana vikaragino vichachara krishnam mahina atmarasabilina mahim ahina atmarasabilina
Paratma bhutopi parobadesham kurvan bhavan sarva nirasyamanaha vikarahino vichachara krishnam mahina atmarasabilinaha. O Bhagavane, you in the form of Rishabhadeva attained that supreme state of bliss by constant inquiry into the self through devotion, knowledge, and discrimination. Yet, you continued with your physical body only for the spiritual upliftment of the common people. With the sole intention of rescuing people from the abyss of this worldly life, you showed the path of salvation by your own behavior. You wandered in towns, marketplaces, villages, cremation grounds, and road junctions having no cloth on your body, with your auburn, disheveled hair flying around and flying about, and giving the impression that you were a recluse, a madcap, or even a goblin. You did not worry about hunger or thirst, sun or rain, and did not respond to even those who humiliated you, exhibiting equanimity devoid of any sentiment, either for praise or for condemnation. But how could people who were blinded by the world affairs understand you and your principles and your status of almost close to Brahman? While men humiliated you in many ways by throwing stones, ridiculing, beating, and even urinating on you. But none of these produced a hatred or anger in you against them. So there is a lesson to be learned from this. You did not feel sad or anguished at their behavior. Even in such circumstances, you are apparent to all others as immersed in the greatest inquiry about Brahman and were enjoying the perfect bliss of Brahman, having erased the fickle mind common to all humans. It is those who have not achieved full control of their mind who go to forests or caves to meditate. Those who have conquered their minds will not fail to experience the bliss of Brahman wherever they are and whatever they are doing, however mundane it may appear. Those enlightened souls travel in the world as recluses with the sole idea that at least 1 in a million among the worldly men may follow them, their directions and guidance, and attain liberation ultimately.
Sayuvratam gomrugakakacharyam chiram charannapyaparam swarupam. Sayuvratam gomrugakakacharyam chiram charannapyaparam swarupam. Davahritangaha Kutagachale tvam tapan mama apaguru mama tapan mama tapan apaguru vatanataya apaguru vatanataya mama tapan apaguru
Bhattadari concludes by saying, Sayuvratam gomruga kakacharyam chiram charan apyaparam swarupam davahridangaha kutakachaletvam tapan mama apakuru vatanatha. Bhagavane, you in the guise of Rishabhadeva, adopting different conducts, often ate and drank while standing or walking about like animals and birds. You were unconcerned with your acts, whether they were clean or unclean. Like this, you kept the mind fixed on Brahman, meditated and realized the Supreme Self. However, your physical body was moving here and there. You attained release from your physical body even when it was caught in the forest fire while wandering in the Kutaku forest. Present day, it's called Coorg or Kutaku in South Karnataka. People always say Kudagu. It's not Kudagu, it is Kutaku, because the forests are Kutaku. The python is a creature which does not take any extra effort to catch its prey. I've spoken about this python in another context, how we have to learn as one of our 24 gurus. Python lies in a place and whatever creature enters its mouth, it swallows. And that too without worrying about its taste. Whether the prey is very big or small, the python is not bothered. Sometimes it will have to lie for a very long time without getting any prey. Ultimately, it may end up getting a small mouse. As far as possible, python will not change its posture or place, even if disturbed. Neither heavy rain nor forest fire will make it move. Great ascetics adopt this conduct by looking at them, looking at such like python, to get rid of pride, individuality, and affinity towards their body. Rishabhadeva was also the one who followed the course of conduct of the python, known as Sayuvratam. Sayuvrata means the resolve of a python. That's what is mentioned by Bhattadri here. Similarly, he also adopted the practice of complete indifference to purity and impurity, acceptance or refusal, called Gomruga Kakacharyam, the behavior of bull, deer, and crow. Bhattadri says, Swarupam Param Apya, which can be interpreted, you attained your Swarupam Param Apya, real form, and then left your physical body in the forest fire. This will mean that Rishabhadeva, having adopted the Sayuvratam, namely the resolve of a python, and Gomuga Kakacharyam, was not enamored by or did not even wish for miraculous powers of yoga like celestial travel and entering a dead body, etc., etc. None of that was required. Already reached the status of a Brahman. O Lord of Guruvayur, Vatanatha, you incarnated as Rishabhadeva, and as only you could ceaselessly destroy the three types of miseries, Tapatrayam, that people suffer from. Please remove all my distresses and protect me. What are Tapatrayam, which we have spoken very, very many times? Three types of miseries that we are all subjected to in this birth. Adhyatmikam is relating to the body, like sickness. Adi-Daivikam is caused by the natural calamities like lightning and earthquake and excessive rain and excessive sun and etc. etc. It's Adi-Daivikam. And what is Adi-Bhautikam? It caused by other men and animals on you. Somebody inflicts something on you, pain or suffering, that is Adi-Bhautikam. Srimad Bhagavatam continues the story of Priyavrata's lineage with the story of Bharata, son of Rishabhadeva, in Canto 5, chapters 7 to 18. So much has been spent about Bharata. Though this contains the important, remarkable story of Jada Bharata of Bhagavatam Canto 5, it is not covered by Bhattadri and Srimad Narayaniyam. So it becomes necessary for us to do a little bit of digression, but quickly cover where the activities of Bharata Maharaja, the emperor of the whole world, are described. Bharata Maharaja performed various ritualistic ceremonies called Vedic Yajnas and satisfied the Supreme Brahman by his different modes of worship. Not necessarily Yajnas, but by other modes of worship as well. At the proper time, Bharata left home and resided in Hardwar and passed his remaining days in pure devotional service. Being ordered by his father Rishabhadeva, Bharata married Panchajani, the daughter of Vishwarupa. After this, Bharata ruled the universe peacefully. Formerly, this planet was known as Ajanabha, and after the reign of Bharata Maharaja, it became known as Bharata Varsha. Bharata had 5 sons through Panchajani, and he named the sons Sumati, Rashtrabrita, Sudarshana, Avarana, and Dhumraketu. Bharata Maharaja was very rigid in executing the religious sanctions and the Vedic principles, following in the footsteps of his father. Being of undisturbed mind, Bharata kept Bhagavan Vasudeva constantly within his heart. After finishing his princely or kingly duties, he divided the kingdom among his 5 sons. He then left home and went to the place of Pulaha, known as Pulahashrama, where he ate forest vegetables and fruits and worshipped Lord Vasudeva with everything available. Thus, he increased his bhakti towards Vasudeva, and he automatically began to realize a spiritual, blissful life. It is understood that Maharaja Bharata worshipped the Supreme Brahman with the mantras mentioned in the Rig Veda, generally known as Gayatri Mantra, which aim at the Supreme Narayana situated in Ravi Mandalam or within the sun. The Supreme Brahman Krishna says that as long as one does not develop the pure bhakti of Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, one must carry out his prescribed duties until he reaches the stage of Shravanam and Kirtanam only, where a total satisfaction is personally felt. Until that stage is reached, 7 other prescribed duties of the 9 types of bhakti should continue. Since Bharata was a great devotee, one may ask why he performed so many yajnas or sacrifices that are actually meant for karmis. The fact is that he was following the orders of Vasudeva as conveyed by Narada. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all routes of religion and just surrender unto me. Doesn't mean abandon religion. Religion here is a loose translation. All actions to be abandoned and just only the surrender is prescribed here. Whatever we do, we should constantly remember Vasudeva. We should breathe Vasudeva. We should live for Vasudeva. We should only think of Vasudeva. People are generally addicted to offering obeisance to various demigods, but Bharata Maharaja simply wanted to please the great Vasudeva. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. In the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a yajna may be carried out to satisfy a particular demigod, but when the yajna is offered to the yajna purusha, that is Narayana, all the demigods are automatically satisfied. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. The purpose of performing different yajnas is to satisfy the Supreme Brahman. One may perform them in the name of different demigods or directly. If we directly offer oblations to the Supreme Brahman, the demigods are automatically satisfied. If we water the root of a tree, the branches, the twigs, the fruits and the flowers are automatically satisfied and they become bright and ready to yield. When one offers sacrifices to different Upadevatas or demigods, one should remember that the demigods are simply parts of the body of the Supreme, namely the huge tree of cosmic excellence. If we worship the hand of a person, we intend to satisfy the person himself. If we massage a person's legs, we do not really serve the legs, but the person who possesses the legs. All the gods are distinct parts of the Supreme Brahman, as Purusha Sukta says, and if we offer service to them, we actually serve the Supreme Brahman himself. Demigod worship is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, but actually the slokas advocate final worship of the Supreme Brahman, Govinda. For instance, worship of the goddess Durga is mentioned this way in Brahma Samhita. Srishtisthiti pralaya sadhana sakti reka chayeva yasya bhuvanani bhivarti Durga. Following the orders of Sri Krishna, the goddess Durga creates, maintains and annihilates. Sri Krishna also confirms this statement in Bhagavad Gita. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hedunaneva kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction only, O Arjuna, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings automatically. We should worship the demigods in that spirit. Because the goddess Durga satisfies Krishna, we should therefore offer respects to goddess Durga. Because Lord Shiva is nothing but Krishna's functional body, we should therefore offer respects to Lord Shiva. Similarly, we should offer respects to Brahma, Agni and Surya, all of which are channeled only to the Supreme Brahman. There are many offerings to different demigods, and one should always remember that these offerings are usually meant to satisfy the Supreme Brahman. Ultimately, definitely, they do reach him. Bharata did not aspire to receive some benediction from demigods. His aim was to please Supreme Brahman. In the Mahabharata, among the 1,000 names of Vishnu, it is said Yajnabhuk, Yajnakrit, Yajnaha. The enjoyer of yajna, the performer of yajna, and the yajna itself are the Supreme Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is the performer of everything. But out of ignorance, the living entity thinks that he is the actor. As long as we think we are the actors, we bring about karma bandha or bondage to activity. And that is a kind of a slavery. If we act for yajna, that is for Krishna, there is no karma bandha. Yajnartat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samacharaha. This is also Bhagavad Gita, 3rd canto. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. That's what Krishna says. Following the instructions of Bharata Maharaja, we should act not for our personal satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Brahman. Krishna says again, Ashraddaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asadit uchyate partam nacha tat pretya no iha. Sacrifices, austerities and charities performed without faith in me are useless or non-permanent. Regardless of whatever rituals are performed, they are called asat, which is non-permanent. They are therefore useless both in this life and in the next, whatever you think is there. Kings like Maharaja Ambarisha and many other Raja Rishis who are pure devotees of Bhagavan simply pass their time in the service of Supreme Brahman. When a pure devotee executes some service through the agency of another person, he should not be criticized, for his activities are also meant for that satisfaction of the Supreme only. A devotee may have a priest perform some karma kanda, and the priest may not be a pure Vaishnava. Here, Vaishnava should not be misunderstood to be a parochial definition, someone in the pursuit of Vishnu. But because the devotee wants to please the Supreme Brahman, he should not be criticized. The word apurva is significant. The resultant actions of karma are called apurva. When we act piously or impiously, immediate results do not ensue. We therefore wait for the results. Just like you plant a seed, pour water, give all the additional ingredients to see that it comes up. It takes time for the plant to come up. Therefore, wait for the results, which are known as apurva. The results are manifest only in the future, not instant. Even the smartas, meaning people who pursue the smritis. I have told you already, there are no Vaishnavas or smartas. Those who pursue Vaishnava, Vishnu, are Vaishnavas. Those who pursue smritis are smartas. Even smartas accept this apurva theory. Pure devotees simply act for the pleasure of the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the results of their activities are spiritual or permanent. They are not like those of the karmis, which are non-permanent. This is confirmed again in Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter. Kata sangasya muktasya jnana vachita chetasa yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. Bhagavatam says that Maharaja Bharata, after 10 million years of great rule, handed over the kingdom to his sons and retired to Pulahashrama for penance and self-realization. He lived alone, satisfied, constantly worshipping Paramatma and with his heart uncontaminated by any desire or material demands. Let us see the life of Jada Bharata in the next session before we proceed to Dasikam 21. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavane, Om Namo Bhagavate Gurvairappa.
Narayana 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 Hare